Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today I have with me Sir Imran Feroz Malik, who is a very competent lawyer, lecturer, law at Federal Investigation Agency Headquarter, Academy Islamabad, and National Police Academy Islamabad, chairman at Human Rights Watch Committee, legal advisor at PAMRA and also at National Bank of Pakistan, and many more. Assalamu alaikum sir. कैसे हैं आप?
Walaikum Salam. I'm fine. Hope you're fine too. And it's
Yes,
really
sir.
good to be with you in this live session. Hope that
Thank you
somebody
so
would
much,
learn
sir,
something from
and
us.
it's an honor for me. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, what is the rule of law and why does it matter? And where did the rule of law come from?
Okay, rule of law, basically, why it's important, the question should be. Uh, you have been living into very good societies, like you have been to Jeddah, and you must have heard people talking about rule of law. You must have heard people talking about that if there will be anything unjust done to them, uh, it will be taken care of. The law will take its course, and their grievance will be redressed. That's the basic and layman approach of principle of rule of law. Number one, that
Yes,
justice should be accessible to everyone. Number two, everyone should be treated justly and properly. And number three, and most importantly, everyone should be equal before the law. This should not happen that if somebody who is powerful, he commits crime and he gets away with that. And if someone who is poorer, he don't have links, and if he commits something, he will have to remain in jail for a longer period of time. So that's the basic principle of
yes,
justice, that everyone should be equal, everyone shall be treated equal, and in case something had happened, I should have belief in my system that if somebody will do something wrong to me, my system will operate automatically and will get me justice. That's the basic criteria,
yes,
and that should be how it is. All these systems, all the mechanism that have been framed, the justice system, the courts, the lawyers, the agencies, law enforcement agencies, that have been made with one sole purpose, that if some violation of law takes place, that violation should be taken care of and the grievance of the person should be redressed. And that is the basic
yes, sir.
concept. Everyone and everywhere in the foreign countries, that is being followed. Unfortunately, we have this system, but not so perfect. There are things, there
Yes,
are grievances of the people against this judicial system, against our system of law, but still we are trying on it.
okay, sir. Sir, what is judicial activism and is it a good thing for a country?
Okay, judicial activism, we have confused this term basically, like every one of us. What we think of it, the way Chaudhry Iftikhar used to do things, that he used to take so moto on various things, and Saqib Nisar Saab, he was very famous for so moto and things like that. That's not judicial activism. That's not as it should be. Like judicial activism, the basic principle of judicial activism is that judiciary is active and they are looking after the affairs of the state, they are looking after for the rights of the people, and they are doing
Yes,
everything in their power to redress the grievances of the persons. But somehow, what we have construed from judicial activism in Pakistan, I am talking about the circumstances which are prevailing in Pakistan, that judicial activism
yes,
means that judges of high judiciary, they should take so moto notices on the petty issues which should be redressed by the magistrate, and there should be like media should be taking care of those things and things like that, which is unfortunately not the
yes,
basic true sense. Like judiciary have been made with one sole purpose, and that purpose is to deliver justice. And delivering justice
yes,
means that there should be, number one, there should be justice. Number two, it should be easy. Number three, it should be at doorstep. Number four, it should be equal for everyone. And now what we have seen in Pakistan, even after this so-called judicial activism, what we are talking about, that even after Iftikhar Chaudhry Saab, even after Justice Nisar Saab, the number of cases have not reduced. The basic
yes,
work of the judiciary is that they should decide the cases pending before them. And what we have seen that with the years, although number of judges has increased, although judicial activism is there, but number of cases has piled up and the number has increased. What to say about, if we talk about Supreme Court, the number of cases pending in Supreme Court, even that has been increased. So the basic thing that judges need to do, that judiciary need to do in judicial activism is that they should take care of the justice system. If the number of judges need to be increased, they should do that. If the cases number need to be reduced, they should do that. Justice should be easy. You must have heard that in Pakistan, cases like they go 15 to 20 years to decide the case from one place, like from a civil judge, and then it goes to appeal in sessions court, and it takes 5 another years, and then it goes to High Court and Supreme Court, and it takes years. I'm not talking about months. It takes about 50 to 40 years to get a case decided. This is not judicial activism. This is not the justice we are talking about. Justice hurried is justice buried, but justice delayed is justice denied. So what they are doing is they are denying you justice if they are not providing you well in time. So what judicial activism should be? It should be that courts should be vibrant. Courts should be cautious about the fact that people are suffering. They should be cautious about the fact that precious rights of the persons are involved in the cases pending before them. So they should decide it quickly, which is not being done.
Yes.
So yes, judicial activism, what is it? That judiciary is vibrant. They are well versant about the problems of the people. They know their capacities and they are working day and night to get justice for the regular persons, which unfortunately is not being done, and this should be done.
Yes, sir. The institutional separation of the judiciary from other branches of government is commonly thought to be an important feature of rule of law states. What is the importance of separation of powers?
Okay, separation of power in modern countries, there are 3 pillars of the state. One is judiciary, one is the legislature, and third is the executive. The principle is that no one should interfere into the work of the other, which is stricto sensu separation of principle of separation of law. But practically that is impossible. Like if you are sitting in judiciary, you have to consider and review the actions conducted by the administration, and as well as the laws being made by the legislature. The strict principle of separation of power says that judiciary should not interfere into work of legislature. Legislature should not interfere into work of judiciary. Legislature should not interfere into the work of administration. But that strict compliance is not humanly possible. So what we see is that there is no strict separation of power, although even in Pakistan, Constitution of Pakistan supports separation of power. There are 3 institutions separately made with separate powers and with separate functions. But somehow what we have seen that judiciary in the past years, they have struck down the laws made by the legislature, like in recent past by the Islamabad High Court Islamabad. One bill of cybercrime was promulgated by the parliament, and in that bill some new sections were added, and Islamabad High Court Islamabad took notice of that, and Islamabad High Court struck down that law. So meaning thereby the Islamabad High Court has reviewed, इसको हम judicial review कहते हैं, they have judicially reviewed the function exercised by the legislature, and they have directed the legislature to amend that law. And that's exactly what happens. Like I have been to courts on daily basis. What you see is that administrative functions, like CDA is conducting administrative functions in Islamabad, and on behalf of government, DC Islamabad and other public functionaries, they are doing their functions. But if there is any malice or malafide and malfunctioning at the part of administration, the functions are being challenged at the high courts, and high courts are giving verdicts against those public functionaries doing that functions in violation of fundamental principles of law. So strict compliance of separation of power, that is not possible, and that should not be like that. There should be some check, because you must have heard that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So there should be check of institutions over one another, and number 2, there should be a check on institution within the institution as well. Like if judiciary is doing something wrong, there should be some mechanism to check the functions of the judiciary and the powers being exercised if there is malice, if there is anything unusual being conducted by the judiciary, and so much so. What about legislature and the other as well? So separation of power, our constitution provides it, but strict compliance of separation of power is not possible and is not practical as well.
Yes, sir. Sir, how can we ensure fairness of the application of law, participation in decision making, legal certainty, procedural and legal transparency?
There should be legal transparency. Like what I quote normally. We drive in Pakistan, like I being lawyer, if I drive in Pakistan and I'm not using a belt, and if I come across some policeman who will be asking me that there is a fine on not putting your belt on, and I'll tell him I am a lawyer and my brother is such and such, my uncle is such and such, and I would like to get away with that. And in Pakistan, unfortunately, we are like in 90% cases, we are succeeded in doing that. So there should be transparency, there should be equality of law. If the guy will be punished for the wrong he has done, he will never commit it. Like I quote about Dubai, I quote about Saudi Arabia even for that matter, that if you have done something wrong, even if you are prince of Saudi Arabia, even if you are prince, you are ruler of Dubai, you cannot get away with that. You have to pay that penalty, you have to be punished. So
Yes.
that is basically basic principle, that laws are made for the purpose of reformation, laws are made for the purpose of punishing the offender. And laws are the only thing that can create a deterrence in the society and that can make a wrongdoer not to do a thing. So if we want a strict compliance of rule of law, there should be very strict compliance of the laws and no one should be spared. That one
Yes.
guy who will be spared just because of he is very powerful, that will give a very negative image, and that and its effect that will go to roots of the society, and that's what we are facing right now. That
Yes.
even from the higher hierarchy till the last, let's say if it's constable, they are using they are misusing rather, they are misusing their authority, they are misusing their offices to get away with the violations, which is very dangerous, which is the main core reason. That is why there is no implementation of rule of law. And if we want to implement rule of law, we should make strict compliance of the laws, and that is the only way forward.
Yes, sir. To what extent the same rule can be suitable to be applied on different peoples?
That is the basic principle. Basic principle is that, like if we talk about Constitution of Pakistan says that everyone is equal before law. That is Article 25 of Constitution of Islamic Republic of Pakistan 1973. So if a law is not uniform, how come it can be a law? Like if I am not using a belt and I am being punished, and for the same act somebody is not being punished, so that can be no law. The basic segment and the basic ingredient of a law is that it's uniform and it's applicable to everyone. And if it is not so, it's not the law.
Yes, sir. What is a judicial conscience and how can we define it? Is it an entity beyond the domain of law, a law by itself, or is it subject to some law? Perhaps
Okay.
the law relating to judicial discretion, if there is such a law.
Judicial conscience. Uh, it's not a law. It's something that if you have, let's say you have read the law books and you have basic concept of law regarding a thing. Let's say if somebody is not using the belt, like you being a layman knows that it's a violation and a violation need to be punished. That is basic concept of judicial conscience. So for that matter, this principle is also being used by the judiciary in decision of various cases. The judiciary did also take note of the law of the land, and they also take note of the customs. They also take note of the judicial conscience, that if a thing has to be done in a particular way, even if the law doesn't support that, but the law of judicial conscience says that if a thing need to be done in a particular way, then the judge decided that way. That even the customs, even our rituals, even our customary things, that has also power of law. And in some countries, this thing is also be considered to be a source of law, like in UK for that matter. Customs and the things we presume, that the things we actually visualize, the thing a layman decides to be a law in a particular society, even that is considered to be a basic source of law. And in UK, major legislation has been carried out only on this principle of judicial conscience.
Yes, sir. Sir, are extreme democratic outcomes when in conflict and the rule of law in liberal democracies incompatible? Like it is said, siyasat nahi, riyasat bachao.
Okay. What I think, and this is something more like a political opinion type kind of question. Siyasat nahi, riyasat bachao. These things are not something about legal or law thing. This is something which are, we can say, political slogans. The law is uniform. We have to be under the Constitution of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and whatever that Constitution provides, we being citizens of Pakistan are bound to abide by those rules of law. And now slogans like that, siyasat nahi, riyasat bachao, do this thing and do that thing, don't do that thing. So that can be merely a political slogan. And for that matter, sometimes they have to pay the prices. Like they do long march, they do things, they do violence on the pretext of siyasat nahi, riyasat bachao, and they have to face the consequences. So there is no place of such like slogans in a country that follows a law, that has a constitution. And if anything that is beyond the law, that is committed on the name of politics, that is committed on the name of religion, that is committed in the name of anything, that need to be punished, and that is being punished in Pakistan.
Yes, sir. Sir, what is accountability to the law, and who does this?
Okay, accountability basically, accountability is basic principle of law, that whatever wrong is being done, that the guy who is doing it, he should be accountable for that. And for that matter, we have made various agencies, and for that matter, we have made various laws. The basic principle is that whenever some wrong is committed, it should be redressed. If somebody is having some grievance, it should be taken care of through the laws, and secondly, by the agencies we have created for this purpose. So I have just skipped the question. Can you please repeat it, just for my sake, like the second part of it?
And sir, who does this? The accountability
Okay,
to the law?
who does it? Basic job of the government is like when we elect a government, we give like we have a social contract with the government of Pakistan. I being citizen of Pakistan, I have given vote to the government of Pakistan for only few purposes. And what are those few purposes? Number one, they'll take care of my life first. They'll take care of my liability. Second, they'll take care of my property. Number three. These are three responsibilities of any government, that they'll take care of my life, my liberty, and my property. And for that matter, government is responsible to create institutions to protect all these three things. So all the laws that are being made on the basis of that social contract which I have made with the government of Pakistan, that I'll be subservient to you and you will be responsible to protect me, my life, and my property. So government does this. It is primary accountability, that if anything wrong has been done, like what to say about corruption. What is corruption? Corruption is my money. I pay taxes to the government. That tax go to public exchequer, and if somebody is looting it, basically he is looting you, he is looting me. So it's government's responsibility that they should keep a check, and my money which I am giving them with the purpose of these three things, for my protection, my property's protection, my liberty's protection. So that should be taken care of, and that money should be spent there for the specific purposes which I have given, which I have assigned them. So if that is not being done, So this is job of the government, that if there is some leakage, if there is some corruption, if there is some malpractice, it's government's responsibility to take care of it, and they have to bring those culprits to book, and they have to punish them.
Yes, sir. Sir, what is the difference between FIA cases and NAB cases?
Okay. So first we had FIA. FIA has a very specific purpose. In Islamabad, they work as anti-corruption as well. They have a domain of cybercrime laws, and they have domains of corporate crime circles and banking crime circles. So they have a specific and limited domain. NAB was created with a specific purpose. NAB was created with a specific purpose that if somebody who is holding a public office means he is in government, or he is having a public office as public servant, they should be held accountable, they should be responsible if their means of living, like if their house, if their cars, if their account, that doesn't tally with their income. Like if I am a public servant,
yes,
even if for that matter, if I am Prime Minister of Pakistan, I am getting a salary of 5 lakh rupees. Let's say it will be 10 lakh rupees. So if I am having a Cadillac, and if I am having my houses all across the Pakistan in poor societies, meaning thereby my income doesn't match with my resources, which I am having, which I am currently holding. So NAB was made with a specific purpose, that NAB can ask those guys that from where you have gathered this money. So the scope of NAB was enlarged. And number two, in normal criminal cases, it is responsibility of the prosecution to prove that Imran Feroz has committed some offense. But in NAB cases,
yes,
it was responsibility of Imran Feroz to demonstrate from the record that what were my sources from which I have made this property. And if Imran Feroz cannot prove it, he is guilty and he will be punished. So NAB was
yes,
a very good NAB was a very good law, and it was made with the specific purpose to eradicate the evil of corruption. But somehow now I can say it with grief that the amended NAB law, they have taken all the powers from the NAB officers, and unfortunately they cannot do anything like that which I am talking about. So NAB is a different kind of institution, and FIA with limited scope, they are doing the same work but at a limited level with a lot of legal restrictions. But NAB was
yes,
a very good institute which have been filed now.
yes, sir. In spite of having so many law enforcement and investigation agencies, why we as public are so disappointed at most of high-profile cases taken up by the state?
Okay, there are many problems. Problems at grassroots level, problems at agencies, problem at our legal system. Let's start with problems with general public. Like I am practicing criminal law since last 12 years. Whenever some client will come to me, he'll come with a fake story. Unfortunately, 90% applications which I come across, those are false. 90% applications, the motive behind moving that application is to fix someone. Motive is to fix all of the family. If somebody like Imran Feroz has committed a crime, the intention of complainant would be that all of the family members of Imran Feroz, his brothers, his father, his uncles, they should be fixed in the same FIR. So problem starts with the first step we take to set the law in motion. We move fake applications, we fake witnesses, we bring fake stories, and for that matter, when it comes to the IO's point of view, when it comes to IO, if a story has been narrated, let's say, just for the audience, that if Imran Feroz has said that 3 guys came to my office and they assaulted me and they took away the money and etc. And when it came to investigation, it was found that one of the guy I have nominated with specific role, he was sitting at Dubai at the relevant time. Second guy, which I have nominated, he was at a wedding at a different city. So half of my variant has found to be fake. So when half of the variant is found to be fake at the investigation level, when it will go to court, and the court will see that this guy has implicated 3 persons, 2 of them have been acquitted by the IO. So it might be very every possibility that the third person who have been engaged, who is actually the real culprit, maybe he might have been implicated with the wrong motives. So that leads to acquittal of all the accused persons. Just because of the first foundation, the complainant who don't take the blame normally, but he is the person to be blamed because they move fake
Yes, sir.
applications, they bring fake witnesses, and those witnesses don't stand in court, and it results in acquittal of accused. Nobody is responsible but that complainant. Then there are weaknesses at the agency level. I deal with agencies, I teach them. Number one, there is incompetence. Number two, there are no resources. Number three, there is corruption, like deep-rooted corruption in our agencies. And number four, there is no will. Like the guy who is sitting as investigating officer, he is overburdened with work. Number one. Number two, he is not having any private time. He is not getting any leave. Like I don't know. It will be surprising for the viewers that a guy who is serving in police, a guy who is serving in FIA, he don't get leave even to go to his home and meet his family. How come this is possible for a normal human being to work 24/7? They need rest.
Yes.
They need some time for their family. They need some me time, but they don't have it. A person with such like mindset, how come you can expect from him that he can do good investigation and he can perform better and he can perform better in court as well? So there are problems at agency level as well, that we lack resources, there is incompetence, there are the number of IOs that is less. We don't have many IOs to investigate the cases. The number of cases is, they are burdened with too many cases that they cannot focus on one thing. So because of that, there is lack in investigation side. And when that case, which is filled with so many lacunas, starting from the fake FIR, fake witnesses, and incompetent investigation that goes to court, how we can expect that it will stand in court? Like
Yes,
what I have seen, the conviction ratio in Pakistan, that is not more than 10%. Like 90% of the cases are being acquitted just because of the reason that we lack the competent investigating officers, and we lack the required evidence which is required to prove that case. That's how it is.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, the next segment is about Urdu Muhavrat. Since it is in Urdu, so I will have to switch to Urdu.
Okay.
सर इसमें मैं मुहावरात बोलूँगी और आपने इसको प्रेजेंट पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम से रिलेट करके एक्सप्लेन करना है, या आप इसका वन वर्ड सब्स्टिट्यूशन दे सकते हैं.
Okay, I was not ready for that, but let me try.
Okay, sir, you can skip any of it. जो गरजते हैं वो बरसते नहीं.
PTI.
चंदे आफ्ताब चंदे महताब.
मैं वो नाम लेना नहीं चाहता, वरना आपका अकाउंट हैक हो जाएगा.
Okay, sir, no problem. दो कोड़ी का आदमी.
There are many, like literally there are many. I don't want to name them.
Okay, sir. दाता की भंडारी का पेट फटे.
All the political scenario which is going on in my country.
Okay, sir. अफलातून का साला.
Somebody who is minister in like PMLN government, he is called Arastu. I don't know, he is from Narowal, he was some minister. Ahsan Iqbal sir. Yes, from this I came, like the name flashed in my mind, that is Ahsan Iqbal.
Okay, sir. तिफले मकतब.
सारे हम समझते हैं अपने आप को पत्नी क्या तो चीजें, हम सारे तिफले मकतब हैं. यकीन करें कि in my system, like I am a lawyer since last 12 years, but I feel nobody is ready to learn, and what we have made a perception कि जी हमें सब कुछ आता है, but everyone is तिफले मकतब. उनको कुछ भी नहीं आता, and they don't even realize that. So every one of us is तिफले मकतब actually.
Yes, sir. At the end, thank you so much for your time, sir.
My pleasure.
सीखा आज से.
My pleasure, and hopefully आपके viewers ने बहुत कुछ हमसे learn किया, and thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. It was pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much, sir. इजाजत चाहती हूँ. अल्लाह हाफिज.
Allah Hafiz.